Hello, my name's John, and I'm a storyteller. I love stories. I hope you do as well. And I've got lots of wonderful stories to tell you. I've actually produced a website with all these stories on, www.biblestorycards.co.uk. You can see all my stories. I'm also a bit of a painter, and so I paint pictures to help me tell my stories. I hope you enjoy them. Hello everyone, it's John again with another one of my marvellous stories. But this one is not so much a story about Jesus as the way that people regard the story of Jesus, the first Christmas, for instance. Now, there are some people who say this about Christmas. Christmas? Bah, humbug! I hate Christmas. I don't believe in Christmas. I don't want anything to do with it. All that happiness and merriment, no. And of course, that's based on a character from Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol called Ebenezer Scrooge, and he was a nasty piece of works. And no doubt you've seen the Muppets Christmas Carol or one of the other stories of the Christmas Carol, and you know the story very well. How eventually his mind was changed and his heart was transformed. Well, lots of people think like that about Christmas. I don't want to know anything about Christmas. And when you tell them what Christmas is about, and you tell them that it's about Jesus, it's about Christ, well, they don't want to know. And what has happened, I think, to lots of people's Christmases, and maybe our country's Christmas as well, our town, the leaders have said, we don't mind Christmas, we don't mind the tinsels and the trimmings, and we don't mind the food and all the presents and all the shopping and that kind of thing, but it's the Jesus bit we don't like. You met people who said that? Actually, there's one city in Britain which decided to do away with Christmas. They said no more nativity scenes anywhere and no more Christmas carols about Jesus. We'll call it Winterfest instead. Well, that's a terrible tragedy if that happens. But it's always been happening, right since the very beginning. Look here. My little caption here shows it like this. Whoops, let me get my cards correct in my hand. They show Christmas like this. Christmas, sorry, no room. No room. Why? Because of all these things that have come in instead. And the tree and the pudding and the crackers. And you see what they've done, can't you? They've pushed out the story of Jesus, the best part of the story altogether. Well, I'm telling you these stories, the other two stories I've told about Christmas and one more to come, for this very reason, that we might say, let's put Jesus back in the centre. I saw a poster somewhere which said, put Christ back in Christmas. Well, I'm glad about that. I would like that to happen. And I would like you to remember that the very first thing about Christmas is Jesus himself. That's God's Son come. Well, let me show you something I saw as a kind of cartoon, I think it was, and it said this. To me, it just illustrated what God was doing at Christmas time. There's a great huge circle like this and a tiny little dot underneath it. And it says, this is God speaking, I have a message for you. Let's see what that message is. But you are so small and I am so big. You can't become big. So I must become small. Then you'll see what I'm saying. And it says in the Bible, God sent his Son so that we might know what God is like. And Jesus once said, if you've seen me, you've seen God the Father. The words that I speak to you are not mine, but God the Father's words. If you believe in him, you should believe in me also. That's what Christmas is about. Probably the most famous verse in the whole Bible, the best known verse for those of us who love God and love Jesus, is this one here, found in John chapter 3 verse 16, which explains the reason why Jesus came. For God so loved the world. We can't become big like God, so he's got to come down to where we are. That he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Do you see the way I've highlighted certain letters? Do you see what it spells? Gospel. That means good news. And what better news is there in all the world than to know that God loves us and that Jesus came and died for us so that we could go back with him to heaven. The best story of all.